Hey guys, Ryan here with another video, and today I wanted to talk about Strongblock a little. Strongblock is a project I like in a lot of ways. I do own 2 Strongblock nodes, but I just wanted to give a little warning on something that I think a lot of people are overlooking with Strongblock right now. I kind of wanted to come on and talk about the price of Strongblock has been dropping a lot. Obviously, everyone's aware of that. So a lot of YouTubers have been speculating on why that is. And a lot of people in Discord and on Reddit and all over the place. And I think there's a big part of it that's been overlooked. You know, a lot of people have said, you know, things aren't moving along as fast as they would have liked. The most common reason is that basically the whole market's going down, right? So why not Strongblock too? And there's a lot of sense to that, of course. The price of Strong is likely to decrease some in all of this market volatility. But generally, Strongblock's been pretty resilient to market changes, not really moving with Bitcoin like a lot of other projects do. Also, unlike when these sell-offs usually happen, you know, over a course of time, you know, the last few weeks after Bitcoin had settled down a little, when it was down 17%, Strongblock was down 60% in the same amount of time. And that kind of reminds me of the DAO rebasing projects a little bit, where they were selling off kind of when the market was selling off, but they were selling off a lot faster, and people kind of talked themselves into that. Now, I'm not here to say that these node projects are like the rebasing project, and I'm not here to be bearish either. I've always said part of what I want to bring you on this channel is not just pumping, not just dumping. I want to bring the realistic viewpoint from all sides. And that's what I want to do here today a bit with Strongblock. First things first, none of this is financial advice. I am just a guy on the internet doing this for fun and entertainment purposes. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. I'm not here to tell you what you should do. I am going to go into it a little bit at the end of the video here after I talk about this, kind of where I'm going next with Strongblock personally. So one thing that I think has been overlooked a lot with Strongblock is the rewards pool for Strongblock has been dwindling rapidly over the last month. Now, the rewards pool is basically, you know, when people buy a Strong node, they put 6 of their 10 Strong tokens into the rewards pool. That pool is used to pay out current Strong node holders their daily amount. Now, over the majority of the life of that project, that pool has remained relatively stable. People were buying in fast enough to keep it at around the same level, maybe fading off a little bit as the rewards are being paid out. That has changed drastically over the last month, and I think one of the big reasons that the project price started dropping a little, even before Bitcoin really made any huge changes these last few days, was that I think some of the whales have kind of realized this, and there have been some really large sell orders. I think people are getting a little shaky about the project. That's not to say things are going down the drain or anything, but it's something to keep an eye on. Now, why have the rewards pools been draining so suddenly? For that, we need to take a step back and talk about another part of the Strongblock feature set that people typically overlook. I think a lot of people are aware that there are some Ponzi-nomics behind Strongblock, heavy Ponzi-nomics, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? There are lots of highly functioning Ponzis in the world that have been going on for a long time. So just because something's a Ponzi doesn't mean it can't make money, doesn't mean it can't last. But I think a lot of people are aware of the Ponzi-nomics. They're aware that we need constant buying pressure to keep the project sustained. If people stop buying, the rewards pool will run out and no one will get paid out. One thing that I think people overlook with that is the way that, unlike a lot of other Ponzi's, the way these node projects are set up, that are, you know, all of them are based on Strongblock. The way these node projects are set up is such that the Ponzi-nomics really increase exponentially as the project life extends. So when you think about how these work, you know, you give me $100 and I tell you I'll give you $1 every day for the rest of your life after that. Obviously, first 100 days, I have no problem paying out your $100. After that, I'm out of money, I can't pay you. Unless somebody else buys in also and pays $100 for the same promise. The problem now is I have 2 people to pay out. So now I'm paying $2 a day instead of $1 a day. So now I'm gonna run out of that even faster. So now one person over that course of time isn't enough to pay for both of you. I need 2 people to buy in. But now the problem is I've got 4 people to pay out. I'm paying out $4 a day. So I don't just need 4 people to keep buying in, now I need 8 people to buy in, and so on and so on and so on. You can see how it exponentially gets out of hand over time. Now, what happened recently with Strongblock is we had the launch of Polygon Nodes, and that was great. The price pumped up into the 700s. Lots of people started buying nodes. We got tons of new buyers. But the downside for that is in these Ponzinomics node projects, temporary buying pressure, if it's not sustained, is a bad thing for the life of the project. It's good if you have a bunch of strong you're sitting on and you wanted to sell and you could sell it at 700 instead of 400, but it's bad for the life of the project because it escalates that exponential curve rapidly, right? If we were doing our example earlier and I had to pay 2 people and 4 people and 8 people and then 10,000 people bought in the next day. Well, now, now I need 10,000, 20,000 and so on. And that's changed rapidly. So that's what we saw with the Polygon nodes. We had 250,000 nodes in the middle of January, and by the middle of February we had 350,000. We increased by 33%. We had a new 100,000 nodes all of a sudden out of nowhere, and that buying pressure didn't really stick around. So now we've reverted to our original steady increase in buying pressure, but we have all those extra people that need to be paid rewards that weren't a problem a month ago. So that's why the rewards pool hasn't been holding as stable as it was. If we look at the rewards pool, you can see it was, steady. Let's look here. For the last year, it's been pretty steady, maybe dwindling slightly. And then all of a sudden, Polygon nodes come out and we drop from 143,000 strong to 90,000 strong in the rewards pool in a month. So you can see that stair step has just started happening fast. So at the rate this exponential curve is increasing now with our 350,000 nodes, in order for the project to sustain itself, we need 7 million nodes by the end of the year. We need 145 million nodes by the end of next year. That's a 41,000% increase from where we are now, because by the end of this year, we'll have 7 million nodes that need to be paid out in rewards, and that exponential curve just keeps going out of hand. So then we turn back to the dev team, and they've given us some ideas. Fractional nodes are the big one. That's a big one people are anticipating will create a lot of buying pressure. I'm a little concerned about that because the fractional nodes are a lot like the Polygon nodes. If it doesn't create a new level of sustained buying pressure increase, it's just going to be the same thing all over again. We'll get a big spike, and then that'll just make things even worse for longevity because we'll have all those new node holders to pay out as a liability. So that's why the rewards pool has been dwindling, in my opinion. In my opinion, I think that has definitely affected the price some, as people have noticed that. People who have a lot of money involved in this project are more likely to look deeper in depth at these things than just shrug it off as, well, the market's going down, so of course Strong is going to drop 60%. But that doesn't mean there's no hope, right? There's plenty of hope. This is a good project. So we have a major pivot incoming because this isn't Ring or Comet or Soldier nodes. Those weren't rug pulls, I don't believe. Okay, a lot of people say, they got rugged in Ring, but what happened in Ring, what happened in Soldier, what happened in Comet, what happened in all these offshoots, these forks of Strong, was that the rewards pool ran dry and they didn't have money to pay. They didn't have the token to pay out the current holders, and these weren't good developer teams. These weren't good, like David Moss and the like. So they didn't really know what to do. They started getting death threats, so they ran. They just didn't have another solution. We saw Thor kind of a little bit better, community involvement and stuff. They were able to bounce back some. So now, what can David Moss and his crew bring to the table? The major idea is a huge pivot to Strong Chain, which is not just some added feature. It's an entire pivot in the business model, away from these Ponzinomics a bit. So we'll start paying out node holders, kind of almost in a mining models, and that's a lot more sustainable. The flip side to that is while these guys have a decent history, these are the same guys who kind of got into this mess in the first place because they thought nodes as a service was a good idea that projects were going to pay for and was going to generate revenue. And even with the benefit of hindsight, we know there's really no interest in that. No one's interested in running out these nodes really and paying Strongblock and paying our rewards in order to use them. So we have the benefit of hindsight on that, but really, it was a long shot to begin with. Most of these projects, they can just generate a little extra of their token and their users are happy to run the nodes for them for free. Not only for free, they'll often pay the project to run them. It's a fundraising, part of the project. So why would any startup project want to rent nodes and pay for them when they can not only get nodes for free, but make money launching nodes? So, now we're banking on these guys after coming up with that idea. Now they've come up with the idea of Strong Chain. Hopefully that's a better idea. It does sound promising. And that could really kind of change the whole dynamic of the project. And if it does work out, then this is a great price to buy. This is as cheap as Strong has been in more than a year. So that's kind of where we are with Strong. That was just a couple talking points that I really wanted to get out there, because I really want people to understand what they're investing in. Is Strong a good buy now? In the $250 range at the time I'm recording this, $2,500 for a node. If you've got gambling money, I think that's a great price. That's as cheap as it's been in a year. And if these guys can deliver on the promise of Strong Chain, then that could end up being a great bargain. If it's money that you can't afford to lose, we're teetering on the edge here, people, more than I think people realize, with the rewards pool starting to almost get cut in half over the last month. And that is very fast after it being completely sustainable, almost completely flat for the last year with, the right amount of constant buying pressure. We've gotten ourselves into a loop where it's going to be hard to regain that without a major pivot in the project, which is what we're working on now. But that's a gamble. So if you've got gambling money and you want to potentially get a node for cheap, I think that's a great idea. If you're counting on this money, I see people in YouTube comments and whatnot asking or talking about quitting their job and just running Strong nodes or various other nodes as their source of income. I mean, this thing could disappear next week, and it really could, with the way that this rewards pool is starting to drain. So just be careful. I'm not here to FUD the project. I like the project. I have 2 nodes. It's not to my benefit to talk negatively of it. I'm not talking negatively of it. I just want to get that info out there, be real with people so people can make educated decisions when they're doing these things. Crypto's a crazy place. Protect yourselves. None of this is financial advice. Please subscribe, like, hit the bell, all that good stuff. That would really help me out. I'm still getting started, and I'll see you in the next one.